Welcome to the Art of Pilates. I'm Louise Taube, principal trainer. I am a studio owner and a Pilates teacher, and I train teachers as well. If you'd like to connect with me, you can visit my website for teachers at taubepilates.com. If you're wanting to check out my studio, it's louisetaubepilates.com. And if there's a topic on the podcast that you'd love to hear about, please let me know.
So welcome back to the Art of Pilates podcast. I'm your host, Louise Taube, and today I'm honoured to be joined by one of Australia's most respected Pilates educators, Olga Tamara. Olga's journey with movement began as a professional dancer with the Australian Ballet in the 1970s before she transitioned into the fitness industry, eventually discovering the transformative power of Authentic Classical Pilates. After completing comprehensive training through the New York Pilates method and Romana's Pilates, she dedicated her career to preserving and sharing Joseph Pilates' original method. Today, Olga is the founder and principal trainer of Authentic Pilates Education International, APEI, and director of Authentic Pilates Studio in Lilyfield, New South Wales. Through APEI, she has educated generations of Pilates teachers across Australia, New Zealand, and Korea, while also presenting workshops internationally and hosting the highly respected APEI Pilates Conference. In this episode, we'll explore Olga's incredible journey, what authenticity in Pilates really means, how the profession has evolved over the decades, and why preserving the integrity of Joseph Pilates' work still matters today. Whether you're a new instructor or an experienced teacher or simply passionate about Pilates, I know you'll take away some wonderful insights from this conversation. Please join me in welcoming Olga Tamara to the Art of Pilates podcast. So Olga, you first discovered Pilates as a professional dancer with the Australian Ballet in the 1970s. What was Pilates like back then? And how did it influence your dancing?
Well, it was very different, Louise, back then. I mean, we didn't have the reformers, etc. Most of our work was done on the floor, on timber floors, because when we were on tour, we would always work on the stage. And in those days, we didn't even have a kit on the stage. It was just timber floors. So Lucette Alders, who was a principal dancer at the time, was very obsessed with all the floor work. And she did make variations because it was more classical ballet orientated, but it was predominantly Pilates and it was on the floor. She recalled it floor bar because she put her own spin on it. But essentially that was our introduction into Pilates, so to speak.
Wow. And so looking back over more than 50 years in movement education, what are the biggest changes you've actually witnessed in the Pilates industry?
Well, I think first came the revolution of the mat course, or the mat classes. That became a very big popular movement there. And then, of course, the contemporary reformer studios with the lights and the music, etc. It's a little bit like fitness on steroids, I think. And now we've got the video screens to guide people through their workouts. And it's just, I don't know, I've even seen hot Pilates now. It's making its way into the community. So there have been a lot of changes and a lot of reinventing what people think Pilates is. Pilates, it's constantly being reinvented and changed. I just really hope that the comprehensive studio training in both the classical and contemporary can hold its ground and just make a big comeback.
Does it break your heart a little when you see like Pilates just in those gyms with techno music playing and, flashing lights?
It does break my heart a little bit in the fact that it's really hard for us to get the message across of what Pilates is and what true Pilates is. And while it's great that people are out there enjoying it and they're moving, and I know there's a lot of young people that just love it because they want to go and they want that burn workout feeling and they want to have fun and pump to music and do all of that. That's, I guess that's good in a sense that people are moving. But yeah, it's kind of like, come back to real Pilates and try and find out, what it really is and maybe do a bit of the both. Then you can do the hard work and then go and have some fun and sweat.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweat more,
That's what
you sweat in Pilates.
In classical Pilates, oh my God. I'm really hoping that every Pilates instructor gets to actually have the experience of training classically within the method because it's where the roots of everything is. It's where the technique actually lies. So, yeah. So was there a defining moment when you realized Pilates would become your life's work?
Don't think Louise, that there was just I never really consciously thought about it becoming my life's work. It just evolved into that. I like to balance my Pilates with my other love, which is theatre work. And I'm really lucky that I've got two things that I'm passionate about, two things I love doing, because I don't seem to get burnt out in one particular field. So yeah, I'm lucky that way. And life has just turned out to be the way it is. There was no big plan.
Yeah, because I saw some socials where you're actually a theatre director and you're actually acting as well. Is that right?
Yes,
So
yes, I fit that in.
I don't know how you do it, but it is such an inspiration because, I can only fit in like just Pilates, like just into like it just takes up like I couldn't have any other room for anything else. But it's so inspiring that you're able to just manage so much.
Well, sometimes I do burn myself out. I said I didn't, but I actually do burn myself out a bit too much when I take on too much. I've taken on an awful lot this year. At the beginning of the year, I said to myself, well, this is going to be the year. I'm 75 this year, and it's going to be a year. Don't say no to anything. Say yes to everything. And now I'm thinking I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah.
To next year, I'll just take a little step back and maybe restructure my year so it's not so jam-packed. But it's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
It's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. I hope I'm still teaching at 75, 76. I hope I'm still
You
teaching at
will be.
80.
Yeah, I'm
80.
thinking that. I'm thinking about around about 80, maybe 85. I don't know. But yeah, let's see what happens.
I think you should never retire. Like, we need you. So you're never
I
allowed
just
to
don't
retire.
think anybody should really retire. I think there should be some sort of life that continues in the work field, even if it's only a few days a week. But, I've seen too many people that actually fully retire, and they've either got enough money that they can actually travel in the world and keep active, but a lot of them just start to, I don't know, start to wilt a little bit and become inactive. And so their bodies start to wilt as well. Just got to keep active all the time.
Yeah, I think so too. So you trained in a variety of Pilates styles before discovering classical Pilates.
Mm.
What was different about that experience?
Well, there was a big trend. I think I think it was in the 80s, late 80s, with the big fitness balls. And I was running I had an event company at the time as well, and early 80s, and a lot of bump ins and bump outs with events late at night. I mean, my body was being taxed to the hilt, and I hadn't done any exercise for a while. So I was thinking, I've got to get back into something. So I decided that, first of all, we bought the big ball and started, creating our own exercises in the office in between our gigs. But then I wanted to go to a studio, and the first studio I went to was at a physio studio, and it was in Drummoyne. But that was kind of like structured more like a gymnasium, where you got your own card and all the exercises written down on it, and you had to tick the boxes and say, yes, I've done this and how many I've done. And I didn't really like that format. So I remember lying on the floor and doing a few leg kicks and stuff, and yeah, and ticking them off. And the instructor came over and we started to just tell me how fabulous my work was and everything. And I thought, well, I was being really sloppy. I was being lazy. I wasn't working hard. I was just going through the motion. And I thought, if she thought that what I was doing was okay, then there's nothing she could teach me, really. So I decided to try a few other places. I went to a couple of other contemporary classes, different studios, and they were okay. But then I stumbled across a classical Pilates studio called the Pilates Method. It's owned by Cynthia Lachard. And I had my first session there with an instructor called Edwina. And I swear, Louise, it took me about 15 minutes into the session to realize that this was the right fit for me. I know everybody's different, and some people prefer one method to another, but this really suited me. It suited the discipline that I was used to. I liked the pace, the flow, the structure of it, the technique. The breathing is different. The feel of the equipment is very, very different, dimensions of it. So it just resonated with me, and there was no turning back after that one session.
Oh my God, that's so inspiring to hear. So what do you believe Joseph Pilates intended that is sometimes lost in modern Pilates?
I think movement. Essentially, I think it's become a little bit too rigid. There's this constant, picking at bodies to don't move within a centimeter of this or that. And I think it's becoming way too isolated. The dynamics have gone out of it. If you have too much isolation, isolate movements too much, you get rigid, and then you become stiff. You lose the joy of movement because of this, I guess, almost fear of movement, because you think that you might be doing it incorrectly. I think in modern Pilates studios that teach with the full range of apparatus sometimes focuses too much on isolation rather than integration.
Wow. So you often use the term authentic Pilates. What does authenticity mean to you?
Genuineness, the legitimacy, realness, original, veracity, truth and accuracy. That's what it means.
Yeah, being true.
Yeah.
If Joseph Pilates walked into a modern studio today, what do you think would surprise him the most?
I have no idea. I didn't know the man, obviously. Didn't know what he was thinking. He might be horrified, or he might think, well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that before. But I do know one thing, that whatever he thought, if he did walk into a modern studio, whatever he thought, his thoughts would be made loud and clear, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I just imagine if he walked into a studio, he'd start going over to people and start pushing them around like you should be doing it like this.
Maybe bring those really heavy hands on
With these tactile cues.
with
So you've trained hundreds of instructors through APEI. What qualities do your best teachers have in common?
the best teachers. That what they have in common is dedication, work ethic, and passion, and obviously a real desire to help people reach their goals in their physicality and their movement, help them get through any physical issues they might have. I mean, we're not trained as physiotherapists. We're not there to actually heal or treat. We're there to get people moving and comfortable in their body, help with their posture, help with their strength, help them function in a better way for as long as they can.
Absolutely.
Mm.
What's the biggest mistake you see new Pilates teachers making?
Opening a studio way too early. I think it's so difficult opening a studio. There's so much involved, and I see them opening up around my area. They come and go at a very rapid rate, unfortunately, or fortunately, because if they're not a good one, it's good that they're not there. But it's so hard. I think what happens when people open up a studio too soon, they forego their own training and they miss out on that continuing education that you need for quite a few years after you've certified, because your certification gives you a certificate, right? Gives you a license to go out and teach, but it doesn't give you a license to be a good teacher. You can only do that through years of training and study. And I think do a lot of that first. Work in different studios, get a feel for how different people work in their space. Do your research before you open a studio. Work in other studios to see the models, see what fits with you. And I recommend doing a business course. I wish I had done that.
Yeah.
I've had to learn so much on the way.
Yeah, same here. But I feel like I've been teaching Pilates for like over 26 years now. And I feel like there's so much I don't know. And also coming to your conference coming up, I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope I could do the exercises.
You work beautifully, and you understand the method. You do, and you take on corrections or tips or advice, and that's the thing. I think you're a great mover. So I don't
Oh,
have a problem at all.
yeah. Thank you, Olga. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to the conference. I just had to say that. But how do you teach instructors to balance precision with creativity? Like, is there room for creativity when we're working with Authentic Pilates, or is it kind of like limited a little because of the actual repertoire itself?
No, I see. I think there's this misconception about what classical Pilates is about. I think people see it as just a bunch of exercises, a repertoire, and it must be done in this order, and it must be done with this number, and it must be done this way, this way, this way. That is part of it when you're actually learning, but that's part of a discipline. Like if you're starting to be a dancer, then you have to learn the basics. You have to learn your pliés, and you do so many bars of music, and this, that, and the other, and then as you become more familiar with the work and you're more expertise in the physicality of it and do it yourself, then it becomes more creative. I think, look, it takes many years. I think people really need to learn the full system first, basic through to more challenging work, understand exactly what it is that you're doing in those exercises and the technique that you're using. And then once you've embodied it, then you can go out with absolute confidence and the knowledge that you've earned to be creative. But it's not just about being creative for the sake of it. It's being creative with a purpose. And if you can only do that if you understand the work, otherwise you're just doing choreography for the sake of doing something different. And that's not what Pilates should be about. There's a lot of room for creativity, but it's to be there as the purpose to help someone, and you can create around the exercises to help someone achieve something.
Yeah. So having those goals in mind.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give teachers who feel overwhelmed by the amount there is to learn? Because it's massive.
It is massive, but then, you're going to take little chunks at a time. And I think the most important thing is to not just come in off the street and decide you want to be a Pilates teacher because think it was fun, or you've had 2 sessions somewhere and you go, hey, cool, I'd like to do that. Or I've just had kids and I want to get back into the workforce, but I only want to do a little bit. And so this looks like something fun for me to do. It's a serious job. We take care of people's bodies. We don't treat them, as I mentioned before. That's not our training. But we're working with bodies all the time. So it's very important. I think that if you're going to do a course, if you want to do a course, then you must do, I would recommend doing at least a year of doing Pilates classes, try different methods, do some research yourself, see which one fits with you, and then decide what kind of training you want to do. You need to learn the whys, understanding what the exercise is for. And then they've got to practice on friends when they start doing the course, cueing out loud and teaching people that you feel safe with when you make a mistake, because there's going to be plenty of mistakes while you're out teaching. Never, ever judge your work against anybody else. Never try to compete with somebody else because someone has got a long, lean body and looks fabulous in that exercise. Oh, I want to be able to do it the same. We will never do anything the same as anybody else. We just have to, trust our own bodies and go as far as we can with what we have. I think the instructor should really watch it, develop an eye and watch teachers teach, see how they handle the room. Yeah, and drop the perfectionism. Accept your cueing stumbles and at first, and they'll be okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's such good advice. So do you think it's possible to become an excellent Pilates teacher quickly, or does mastery simply require time?
I think some people have a natural talent to be a teacher in all different forms, in all different areas of life. Some learn quicker than others, but to be a true master of anything, it takes years and years of dedication. And I have to say here, this mastery and masterclass and master teacher, never declare yourself a master. It's a title to be earned and given to you by your peers. It is not a title to be taken. It really kind of grates on me when I see people say, come and take my masterclass, or I'm giving a masterclass this weekend. And a lot of that is from people that have been teaching for merely 18 months, 2 years, maybe even 3 or 4. That doesn't make you a master. You look at masters in martial arts. I mean, it's a title given. Yeah, that's all I can say. So please don't call yourself a master. Somebody else can call you one, but don't call yourself one.
Very wise. So Pilates has become incredibly popular worldwide. It just seems to be exploding at the moment. What excites you most about its growth? And also, what concerns you?
Oh, I love that people are engaging in Pilates and mixing it up with other fitness activities. That's great. But I'm concerned about the substandard training that's coming into the community. I think as a result of that, people are starting to get hurt, and as a consequence, they're not trusting Pilates as a safe place to be for working out. As I said before, I just hope that the comprehensive training stays intact and hopefully becomes a trend again.
Social media has changed how people learn about Pilates. Has that been more helpful or harmful, do you think?
Well, helpful in a sense, in that I think it's great that people can take classes and have private lessons online. It gives people access to different teachers and mentors and teachers and mentors that they've never ever worked with before, which is great, especially if they're living in remote areas. But the social media aspect of it has become a little toxic and sometimes rather dangerous, I think. There's too much comparison in methods of this, that, and the other, too much focus on performing tricks that the body's not ready for, or is not completely, not even necessary, in my opinion, and completely dangerous. Too many people are seeing something online and go, oh, that looks really cool. I'm going to try that out in the studio. It can be very dangerous. So it's coming back to that creative thing. I think people are just going overboard and being creative for the sake of doing something tricky or clever and dangerous.
Yeah, it can be quite scary. I have seen quite a few Pilates fails with people falling off Cadillacs, falling off reformers.
And I don't know why it becomes when these people that post them, actually, I don't understand that. Like if there's a mishap in a studio, why would you want to post it out there?
I know, it looks like some people get really injured.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm just too old. I'm just not into the social media stuff. I should figure it. I just can't get myself there.
I know, but you sort of have to these days, so people know who you are. So it's kind of like it's a two-edged sword.
It is.
And so what do you think distinguishes a highly skilled teacher from someone who simply teaches exercises?
Well, I think firstly, a highly skilled teacher has usually had many, many years of experience and has developed a good eye over those many years. They watch the body, and at a glance, they can see where the weakness exists, and they know exactly how to modify if they need to, or move them to another piece of equipment that might facilitate their body in a more, useful way. Someone who just teaches exercises is literally just teaching repertoire. That's all they're doing. They're not teaching. They're just instructing.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like when I first started, I think I was just teaching repertoire for a long time before I started to actually feel like I was.
And that's why I said earlier, I think it's don't open your studio too soon, because we all do that. It doesn't matter what in any course that we do, when we finish, we're only teaching or instructing. We're not even teaching yet. We're instructing what things that we've learned. But the teaching doesn't become teaching until you become really, really full of the knowledge, the body of work that's there and what it is. Then you can become a teacher. But I think everybody starts off as an instructor. And as you say, just teaching the repertoire or instructing the repertoire.
Yeah. Yeah. So how important is understanding anatomy compared with understanding movement?
I think it's important to understand the body and learn the basics in anatomy, but I really don't believe we should get caught up in the anatomical side of it too much, unless, of course, you want to be a physiotherapist or an exercise physiologist. It is important to know your anatomy, but I do think it's really important to understand movement. So I would recommend leaning more towards kinesiology or biomechanics, much useful for a Pilates instructor.
Interesting. So you've dedicated much of your career to preserving the original work. Why is that so important?
Well, I just think preserving traditional methods of Pilates and other modalities like martial arts and yoga, it protects their foundational philosophies, and it maintains, it keeps the authentic culture heritage passed down from their creators. And in this instance, Joseph Pilates, ensuring that future generations learn his training rather than bastardized or altered trends. So at least if they want to change things, you can't change anything unless you know it.
Yeah, you've got to have the original essence first.
You got to have it first, and then if you feel like you can come up with a better idea or something better, that's fine. But learn it first.
Yeah.
And if you need to change it, change it. But
How do you decide when it's appropriate to adapt an exercise and when it should remain unchanged?
Well, first of all, if it doesn't need adapting, then don't do it just for the fun of it. But if a client has either a condition or an injury or finds it difficult to get the right shape in or get into a position that's uncomfortable for them, then take them to another piece of apparatus to see if they can find it there. And that's why the system is so important and why it works. Everything there is on a platter for us, and it gives you the tools to move clients around the room to adapt from one piece of apparatus to another, to help them build their strength and to address the niggling body issues, etc. You can't address it all just on the mat or just on the reformer. If somebody has difficulty getting into a position for stomach massage, you might want to take them somewhere else and work them there, and then come back to the reformer if that's how you work in the studio. I just think don't adapt it unless it's needed, but you can be creative with your adaptations, with your modifications as well.
That's so clever. I love it. Are there exercises from the original repertoire that you feel deserve more attention today?
Yeah, footwork. I think footwork gets overlooked a lot. I mean, everything starts from the feet. So I'd like to see teachers do more on pieces of apparatus, like small pieces, like the foot corrector, the toe corrector, tendon stretch on the electric chair, etc. Yeah, I think footwork is underrated.
Interesting. I thought you were just going footwork on the reformer or the Cadillac or the chair, but it's all the foot corrector, toe types.
There's so many different things that you can do for the feet. And I remember many years ago, there was an Olympic swimmer that came to see me, and she used to come to Australia in the summer for training, and then she'd go back to Switzerland in our winter and go and train in their summer. And I loved working with her. And I look at her body, I think she is so strong. She knew the classical work, she knew the advanced work, and we don't get a chance to teach people much of the advanced work. So it was a real treat for me to go, oh yeah, we can do this, you can do this, and all this fancy stuff, the beautiful things and fantastic body and blah, 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 blah. And then we got onto the conversation of her swimming, and she said that her time, she needs to pick up a little bit of time. And when she's in the water, her time was great. I thought I better go and see and watch her. So I went to see her training, and while I was watching her, I noticed that while her strokes and everything, she had very, very strong shoulders, and her style was immaculate. But when she pushed off the block, that's where she lost her time. because she didn't have the strength in those ankles and feet to push. So we focused on footwork, came back, stripped away all the advanced stuff and went back to feet, 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 so she could pick up that time of just pushing off that block. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I just think it's so important that if you have anybody that does the sport, you don't have to know much about the sport, but go and watch them do the sport, watch their body in action. And it's amazing what you can see and what you'll find. And that's really exciting because then that's where you become creative with your work. Because that's when you go, yeah, these things will help in that area. And I think this is where Helen Stamatakos is very good at doing, because, she works with athletes a lot and she can be creative with a purpose for these people doing specific things. So I think it's really important to go and watch people in action. If they're a tennis player or a football player or whatever it is, it's fun. And it's,
Yeah. That's such an inspiring story, like something that's so detailed. Like just, it's incredible. It's incredible.
And now a word from our sponsor, Taube Pilates.
Your bones can get weaker without you knowing it. Osteoporosis is often called the silent thief because bone loss can happen without warning. You may not know your bones are getting weaker until a fracture occurs. But awareness, prevention, and early intervention can make a world of difference to your bone health. Discover the essential facts about osteoporosis, prevention, and management in my free ebook, Understanding Osteoporosis, a comprehensive guide to prevention and management. See the link in the description. So what's one aspect of classical Pilates that you wish every instructor experienced?
well, I'd love more contemporary teachers to come in to try classical Pilates on the traditional equipment and experience that because it feels so different.
That's what I'm looking forward to with your conference coming up, but also
Yeah.
I'm terrified at the same time.
It's very different, and it's hard to, I say some people say to me, "Oh, well, what is classical Pilates? What's the big deal? What's classical?" And I've even got on my website now. I've got a little saying, and I just say Pilates doesn't need to be explained, nor can it. It just needs to be felt because once you feel it, you understand it. I have
Absolutely.
a lot of contemporary teachers that come here, and they'll never become classical teachers, but they come here because they love the feel of it. They love the work. They've spent a lot of money in their training, and they're good teachers in the contemporary world, and they've spent a lot of money on their equipment. They're going to throw all that away and change methods. Do that, and they're good at doing that. But they do love coming here and feeling the difference of what the classical equipment does, different technique.
Yeah.
Just a different way of working.
Wow, fantastic. And so you've run a studio while educating teachers internationally. What's been the biggest lesson in building a sustainable Pilates business?
Well, it's only just sustainable. Otherwise, it's really tough these days. It's a different world when I came into training. You just needed to be a hell of a lot more flexible now. Years ago, you'd set your dates and you'd say, okay, we've got an intake on these dates, and you'd have maybe 16 students come in, everybody signs up, and you work through the year. Another intake in the middle of the year, maybe one at the end of the year. Now it's like, well, if people can't get certified in 3 weeks, then it's not good enough. People are horrified when they say, I get a lot of phone calls of people saying, how long will the course take? And I say that depends on your lifestyle. If you've got a family, or if you've got a full-time job, part-time job, whether you're flexible with their time, it can take a year to 18 months. And they get horrified and say, oh God, I can do a course, I just researched one the other day and I can do that in 3 months. Well, there is so much of that on, and there are some that you can do, as you know, in a period of 6 weeks, not even 3 months. I mean, crazy stuff. And because there is so much of that out there and it's not regulated, then of course there are less people wanting to do full comprehensive courses in either classical or contemporary. It's hard work and people want instant gratification, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
So, these days I'm more flexible. So if somebody wants to do the course, I say, okay, when do you want to start? And then we start one-on-ones, and then I team them up with the apprentices that are there. And then they come towards, they end up sort of like mentoring each other in a way and helping each other, because there'll always be someone ahead of them. And then they've got other bodies to practice with. So yeah, flexibility is the way to go now, I think.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I don't do online training and I think that's my age. I just can't get my head around online training. I think it needs to be face-to-face. That's my belief. Others differ. But yeah, I'm not going to change now. It's too late.
Yeah. And I think the value of experiencing and just feeling what's going on in your body. You can't really do that through a screen. And even, the way you do your tactile cues as well, because you don't do that poking thing that's, because I know you said
Oh,
that, don't do the poking. And then like when I looked back and saw, because someone took a little Instagram shot of you teaching me on one of the exercises recently at the previous conference
yeah,
at the Pilates Expo,
Pilates
like you
Expo,
were
yeah.
kind of using the backs of your hands for some of the cueing. And I was like,
I just think, it gets a bit cringy when it's all fingertips and pokey and all this sort of stuff. And I just think that if you can't do hands-on, here's another thing with a purpose. If you can't do hands-on with a purpose, don't touch. Just stay away. If you don't know what to do with your hands, do nothing. But you've got to use the hands as a part of resistance with your client. Obviously, you're going to get their permission to start with. Once they know you're going to do that, then you don't have to ask them every time. But yeah, and just making sure that whenever you're touching them with purpose, and that they're giving you the same energy back. So you're not pushing anybody in a position. They're actually getting feedback from you. And that's a really important thing. I think the hands-on training, definitely has to be done face-to-face. I mean, you can't do a massage course online, can you? Maybe you can face, who knows?
Yeah, so it is definitely a face-to-face thing, understanding the tactile cues with Pilates, like the
Yeah.
pressure, how to touch, when not to touch.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely essential. So how has your teaching changed over the decades?
Well, I guess like anybody, when you first start teaching, you're so excited about, all the wonders of what are out there, and you just want to encourage your client to come on, this is great because there'll be all these things that do this and we get to do that. And very, very excited about what the potential was. But then, one day somebody said, what if I just want to stay at this level? I just want to feel good. I don't necessarily want to achieve all of these goals of becoming advanced. And that hadn't occurred to me. It hadn't occurred to me that people weren't coming into the studio to work through the system to get better and better and better and better and start enjoying the advanced work. So that was a quick lesson to learn at the very, very beginning. So now I just watch and see if their bodies are ready to progress. And if they're not ready to progress yet, then I leave it and we just keep working until we can progress and maybe do a little bit more challenging work, which they love. And then suddenly it's really lovely one day, you're working with someone and you're teaching them advanced exercise. You're not telling them it's a difficult move, but suddenly they're doing this exercise. You say, that's an advanced exercise. You go, wow. And they're suddenly really proud of themselves. It might only be 1 or 2 or 3 exercises, but they don't need to do more than that.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what keeps you inspired after so many years? How do you keep this beautiful energy that you have and the passion going?
I just think it's seeing the changes in people's bodies. And I think, or another thing about me, about my way of teaching, I think what I do now is I've really focused a lot on imagery and helping people find movement and feelings in their body by using imagination. I just think imagery and imagination is a powerful tool. I mean, seeing long-term clients progress, love seeing them and talk about how they feel when they finish a session. They don't feel trashed. They feel tall. They feel fabulous when they walk out of a room. And of course, I love seeing my wonderful students who really put all their energy and passion into the course and going on to be wonderful instructors and, well, eventually, hopefully inspiring teachers. And I differentiate that, instructors and teachers. And I think you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about your conference coming up, which I'm so excited about going to. So the APEI conference has become a wonderful opportunity for teachers to learn from world-renowned educators. So what inspired you to create it?
Well, first of all, I just clarify, a lot of people, they see APEI and don't quite know what it stands for, but it's Authentic Pilates Education International. So broken down to APEI. So I just know that there are a lot of teachers that never get an opportunity to travel overseas or to go to conferences and learn from international Pilates educators. So years ago, I started bringing in like one international, but it was just being to the studio. And then quite a few years ago, I took the steps to creating a bigger event, which means having to upload all my equipment from my studio and taking it to the location. And it's worked really well. It's a lot of work though. I don't know. I do it every second year, not every year, because it's way too much work.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's great though. I just think that it's important to have international presenters out here for those that can't get to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I've been overseas for a very long time, and I wouldn't have the opportunity of seeing all of the people coming unless they were all in the one place, which is what you're doing.
Yeah, well, they're not all. I mean, there's only like two at a time. To have them there is just a great thing.
Now, this year's presenters include, actually, can you review the names? Because I'm just worried I'm going to pronounce their names all wrongly. So there's Gloria
Yeah.
Joel Crosby, Katie Agnew.
Agnew.
Yep. Eve Marie Ward and
Yeah.
Helen, how do you say her last name? This
Samatakos.
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 So you've got some great Aussies there as well as the internationals as well.
Yeah.
And what are you most excited for attendees to experience?
Well, I want them to experience have a great learning opportunity. I mean, there's Gloria, Joel, Katie and myself. We're all second generation teachers. Eve-Marie is third generation, and they bring a great deal of authenticity to the conference. So there's a lot of archival things as well as new things. And while essentially it's a classical Pilates conference, I have great respect for some excellent contemporary teachers and presenters in Australia. And after, I mentioned Helen before, and after seeing her deliver her very first workshop a little while ago, I invited her to join us this year for our workshop because I thought her presentation was wonderful. She specializes in sports training and Pilates solutions for sports injuries. And I just think that, 50% of our delegates are contemporary teachers who are interested in classical. So I think she's a great fit for what we're doing this year.
Fantastic. And why do you believe conferences are such an important part of a Pilates teacher's professional development?
Oh, I think it's really important. Teachers get caught up in hours of teaching and sometimes burnout. I guess you've experienced that too. I know I have. Occasionally. I say occasionally because as I mentioned before, I try to balance my life. So I do have the hat that I can put on. But they've just got to, it's important for them to do face-to-face workshops and get that personal interaction. And of course, just to feel part of the wonderful community because it's a lonely thing. It's a lonely existence having your own studio, when you're talking about a small studio. It's a lot of work and it's not just the teaching, it's the admin, it's the overheads, and every year that becomes more expensive. It's hard. So I think it's important for teachers to do development for those reasons. Yeah.
So because I come away feeling so full.
Yes.
And the energy of all the other Pilates teachers who go, like it's exhilarating. It boosts you like you're going to a live concert.
It is. And you've got people like like-minded people. And what's so beautiful in the conference, like there's no judgment, nobody judges each other. Everybody's in there together. It doesn't matter what method you're from. It's really supportive. I think it's a buzz. Everyone gets a buzz out of doing conferences. I think they're a great way to learn.
Yeah, and you feel like you're part of an actual community after being just so isolated in your own little place. It's
100%.
It's absolutely. And also the fact you can actually train with different people. You get to experience there's different styles and there's different knowledge and different perspective in a short period of time. So it's just like,
and there'll always be something that you take away with you, whether you agree with one method or the other, there'll always be something. You'll go, I really like that. Oh, I could use that. Yeah, that's a great move. That's a great idea.
So if someone had never attended the APEI conference before, what can they expect?
Well, full day of 3 learning and some amazing workshops, an insight into what classical Pilates work feels like, and especially feeling it on the classical equipment as well. Yeah. If you're interested in classical Pilates, come along. We've got day rates too if you can't do the full 3 days.
Yeah. I hope everyone gets to go because, I know you don't have places for everyone in Australia to get to your conference, but 12 places left or something like that.
Well, we're down to 10, but there's still 10 places left. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. So I think what I'm expecting is I'm going to have sore muscles. That's what I'm going to expect.
You'll need a bath when you come home, but don't scare people off because you don't have to participate. Some people go, I'm going to be too tired. I don't know if I can do everything. You can observe all 3 days if you want, and you can participate where you want. You can sit and take notes, sit in a corner and take notes if that's your vibe.
Yeah.
There's no prerequisite that you have to get on the floor or you have to get on the equipment, but you'll be inspired to get on.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And so looking ahead, what do you hope the Pilates profession looks like in another 20 years?
I keep saying this, I'm sounding like a broken record, but I'd like there to be much more in-depth courses and people will realize that these short courses they offer little in the way of quality training. And just hope that, those courses make a big comeback and the quality of teaching improves.
Yeah.
It's got to happen.
I think it's inevitable because like fashion goes round and round, and how we used to do everything, well, how we are doing things faster. Now there's a whole thing of people wanting to do stuff that takes more time, like slower, like the slow,
Well,
whatever.
a slower learning, yeah, maybe. But I think also that, well, there is a surgence I'm feeling in the industry. There are people interested in classical Pilates, but what's happening is that they're not studying it. They're experiencing it, thinking that classical Pilates is just an order of repertoire. So then they'll learn the mat order, they'll learn a reformer order, and then they think that they now teach classical Pilates. And in the end of the day, well, classical is boring because it's just repetitive. It's the same old, same old. It's so far from the truth. So I think that, if people are going to do courses, as I said, you either do contemporary or classical, do the course, study it in depth, and really learn the system and learn what the program is about.
Absolutely. And I think like people now, like you have the opportunity, you can do a short course, but then do the full course. Like maybe you just have that as a little taster before you make the full
Oh,
commitment.
absolutely. There's nothing wrong with doing, a mat course, and some people just want to specialize in doing mat. And that's fine. The reformer course, I'm not so, enamored of, because I think that then people think that they're just a reformer teacher. That just doesn't embody Pilates to me. Pilates is not the reformer, and it's not just the mat. It is everything that Joe actually invented in the studio. So many pieces of apparatus. You've got the neck stretchers, you've got your airplane boards, you've got the breathicizer, you've got, the wonderful electric chair, and I think contemporary call it the high chair. We've got so many wonderful things that are at our disposal, which allows us to be creative in the studio with our clients when they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what legacy would you like to leave for future generations of Pilates teachers?
Well, I'd like to think that I've given my students a great foundation and an insight of the true method of Pilates to then go on and explore and build on more over their lifetime career. It's just a starting block. I can give them so much. Nobody can teach everybody everything. And I say this to my students, that whatever you learn, teach only what you know. Teach everything you know, but teach only what you know. Don't pretend to know any more than you do.
Very wise, because I think sometimes we feel like we have to know everything as Pilates teachers, and it's just you're better off staying within your scope.
Yeah, 100%.
And so if you could give one piece of advice to every Pilates instructor listening today, what would it be?
Same thing. Continue learning. Continue doing workshops. Don't skimp on your training. Look at the different elders. Learn about the elders over the years and learn about them and the origins and the legacies that are left behind by them and Joseph himself. Yeah. But the elders who have followed in his footsteps, they've got a lot to offer as well.
Wow.
And of course, enjoy the journey and have lots of fun on the way.
Yeah, exactly. I think it becomes more an adventure. The more you learn, the more things that you go to and experience, like you get so much more out of the method. It's just
That's
fantastic.
right.
Yeah.
And it's like that old saying is, the more you learn, the more you know that you don't know.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I've got a couple of rapid fire. So reformer or mat?
Reformer.
Favorite piece of apparatus?
Wonder chair for its strength and training, and it's very versatile as well. Yeah.
Oh, I love the chair too. Favorite archival exercise?
I love the snake twist.
Oh, that's so hard.
I love it. But, if you find the right technique, it's never easy, but it's much easier.
One cue that you use every day.
Enjoy, move.
Most underrated Pilates exercise.
Footwork.
One book every Pilates teacher should read.
Dynamic Alignment Through Imagery. Eric Franklin. Very good book.
And tea or coffee?
Coffee. But only have one a day, and you didn't throw wine in there because wine comes a close second.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise when I'm on holidays and sunset when I work.
Interesting. So what brings you the most joy right now?
My Pilates students, my clients, and my theatrical endeavors combined.
Oh my God, yes, you do have a large platter of just delightful things in your life. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Olga, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your stories, and your passion for Authentic Pilates. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. I think one of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation is that Pilates is so much more than a collection of exercises. It's a method, a philosophy, and for many of us, a lifelong journey of learning. Your dedication to preserving Joseph Pilates' work while mentoring the next generation of teachers is truly inspiring. For everyone listening, I'd like you to learn more about Olga, Authentic Pilates Education International, or attend the APEI Classical Pilates Conference this September, and we'll include all of the links in the show notes. So if you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love you to subscribe to the Art of Pilates podcast, leave a review, and share this episode with a fellow Pilates teacher or movement professional who would enjoy hearing Olga's story. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Louise Taube, and until next time, keep moving with purpose, keep learning, and remember, Pilates is not just about the exercises we teach, but the lives that we help to transform. See you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to Art of Pilates. I'm your host, Louise Taube, Principal Trainer as recognised with the PAA, studio owner and Pilates teacher. To stay connected, please subscribe to my mailing list via my website, taubepilates.com. And if you've loved this show, please give me a review. I'd love a Facebook review or a Google review. It really helps to support me and my business and this podcast. See you next time, and keep moving with intention.